Hey guys, Musically here today, and I'm back with another video. Now, today's video we're going to react to Black Veil Bride's song called Children Surrender under their album of We Stitch These Wounds. Now, this is, I think, the third song on this album. Yeah, the third song on this album. The last two, I had quite a bit to say. So, I don't know what direction they're fully going with in this album. I'm only 2 songs in deep, but, some albums, they're like concept albums where they have a single concept and they try to fit into it, but they sometimes they have like quite a bit of songs. They might have some songs that don't really connect fully, and then there's other albums that are just simply they don't try to have just one concept. They can have multiple different songs with different meanings behind it. And since this is their first album, like I said, when an artist or a band starts off, usually that's their rookie years, so you should give it more of a leeway when it comes to their rookie years. I don't know if I can say I'm really enjoying this album yet. I have to get through, I think, like at least half of the songs of this album to truly get more of a feeling of what I think about this album. But those last 2 songs are quite interesting. I have quite a bit to say about these ones, and it's even more interesting due to the fact that I have the redone version where I get to see how they've changed and how they have adapted and what changes they're making. That makes it a little bit more fun and creative. Also, I want to say this, that I have created a Black Veil Brides playlist since I've already listened to quite a bit of their songs, and I'm going to be listening to a ton of theirs in the future, especially finishing this whole album. So, I thought, why not have a whole playlist? So if you guys want to check out any of the Black Veil Brides songs, they will all be on my Black Veil Brides reaction playlist. So go just check that out if you want to go directly to it and see all the other ones that I had from this band. So yeah, let's get into it.
Night like children of the day, and our pain will shine a light to those who understand. Our lives are not like will shine a light.
Okay, we're already halfway into this song. The beginning instrumentals, like the guitar, was quite interesting. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, they have a little bit of the advertisements for those Japanese games, I think those mobile games sometimes, and they have like the Japanese girl speaking, Japanese, but they also have the intro with some electric guitar, a riff in it, and that's what it kind of reminded me of in this song. So yeah, it kind of sounds a little bit like a riff for a commercial for a Japanese video game that you would see either on your phone or whatever. Also, this song, once again, the instrumentals and the vocals do sound like I described in the last video quite a bit. It sounds like from the soundtrack of SmackDown vs. Raw 2005 and 2006. And it sounds like an early 2000 song, even though 2010 is kind of weird. It's kind of on the cusp of the early 2000s, but it's also on the more modern day that we've come to right now, and the change in music. I'm pretty sure around 2010 is where there was a significant, since it was a decade that passed, it was a significant change in music, in the music landscape. And I think it has fluctuated in different certain ways, but I think it hasn't really made a big change since then. I think even at 2022, with 12 years past of 2010, the music has stayed in the same progression, especially when it comes to rap music. But I really like this because it gives me more of an older nostalgic vibe and feeling to the early 2000s, which I really love this music. Like I said, that's my favorite style of music. I just don't know why. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Maybe it's just because I purely enjoy it. Because I also love 90s music, even though I was only born at the cusp of the 90s, like at 1998. So I didn't really obviously spend any time in the 90s. Most of my life was spent in the early 2000s, but I still like 90s music, even 80s music. So maybe it's just that 2000s music was some of the top tier music, especially for rock music, because from what I've seen, rock music was killing it in the early 2000s. They had some absolute bangers, and this style of vibe of music was definitely popular, and I really enjoyed it. I wish it would come back. Obviously, the newer version that they're gonna do is gonna have more of a newer style, which I'm gonna, I think I can appreciate that. But I do love listening to more of the old school. So yeah, especially with the screaming 100% with the instrumentals sounds like an early 2000s song, and definitely one from like SmackDown vs. Raw. If you play any of the games or go through the soundtracks, or you search up on YouTube, you'll find countless of the songs on their soundtrack having screams and chord progressions like that. But I really enjoy that. This one kind of reminds me of the last song with the the vibe. But since it's 3 minutes, hopefully it doesn't repeat the chorus quite a bit, so it doesn't drag on for too long. But for right now, I'm really enjoying it, though we're only halfway through. So that was Children Surrender from their first album. I will be checking the next one, so right after. But I really enjoyed that song. Like I said, it reminded me of the last song, but it was shorter, so I think that helped it out a lot more because it didn't drag on the chorus too much. Also, I did really enjoy the chorus, but the one thing I'll give them really, really big credit for this song is the fluctuation throughout the music. Because, like I said, one problem that I feel like a lot of songs or artists have when they make music is the progression throughout the song is very stagnant. It goes in a very linear path. It needs to have some fluctuations throughout the song to make it more creative and give it more of a flair to it when you're making music. But this song, luckily, it definitely did that, and that's what I really appreciate about it. Because once when we got to the fast drumming part, the instrumentals kicked in with the guitar, and they changed the style of the music, and then it escalated more, changing it even further, and then it changed it throughout the rest of the song with his vocals coming back in with the chorus. So I really appreciate that about this song. That was one of the biggest gripes I had with the last one, was it was not only stagnant with repeating the same vocals, but also it didn't really change too much. Whereas this one, they added a little bit more with the guitar. They made it, they amplified it. They changed the style, and it felt like different vibe to it. With also having the chorus still there, but not overdoing it. So I really like this one. I think this one was great. It was the perfect blend and mix that you needed to make a certain song like this. So yeah, right now I think for right now, I'm only 3 songs into this album. This is definitely my favorite from this album. I really like that. I like the way they did this one. This one, it seems like the choices they made and decisions they made stylistically were possibly the best choices they could make that don't make the song ruin it in any way. So I have really no complaints with this song. So yeah, let's get into the newer version. Okay, now we're going to do part two, or the newer version of Children Surrender. I'm excited to see how they're gonna change this one. Like I said, the other one, I had no real problems with it. I felt like the choices they made were very good. So I want to see if they're gonna change upon it or just add their more modernized style to this song. That's always I think the big question when it comes to this newer version, because they do keep it quite the same, but as we see in the last song, they did change up some stuff with the drum patterns and stuff. So I want to know, and I want to detect if they changed it a bit, or are they changing around a little bit, or are they just putting their newer style and making it sound better, like more modernized. So yeah, let's get into it.
We're born into the night like children of the damned, and our pain will shine a light to those who understand.
Okay, we're once again halfway through the song. Yeah, it's basically the other song, but just more modernized. By modernized, I mean more like developed technique. It's like the instrumentals are the same, but it's weird how to explain it, but it's kind of the same. But you can definitely see the leveling up of that skill. It's like more polished, more clean. Like you have the same type of instrumentals and the way they played, but it's a far more clean version. Like they're hitting it, like the timing is a lot better. The way they're doing it, they have some subtle changes. And if you're somebody who understands music more, who's more in tune with it, which I'm not that well in tune with it, I can understand a bit. They could explain it better, but for me, I just don't know. I think there's just some minor changes in this that they do. They just amplify the sound of it better. I can tell it more with the vocals because it's easier to tell with vocals compared to instrumentals. Unless if you play instruments, which I've mentioned before, I've never really played any instrument before. I would love to play the piano or the guitar, but I've just never played an instrument, so I don't know the A minor, C minor, whatever. So if there's some people who actually do know music, they'll probably know technically what's the difference. But for me, from what I can hear, I can definitely hear that there are stylistic changes, and I can truly appreciate the level of craftsmanship when it comes to the music itself, because they're trying to keep the same feeling as the original, but also showcase how much better they got. And sometimes it's hard to do that in a subtle way, in a way where it's obvious but also subtle enough. And I think they did it very well. The voice, definitely, everything sounds more clean and polished. His vocals, the instrumentals, the chanting in the back, the oh part, it sounded more well harmonized and stuff. You can definitely see the leveling up in this. And it might be a little bit harder because it isn't that much, outstanding to your face that, oh, they changed too much, because it's more minor changes. But this is due to the fact that they're trying to, keep the original song intact with just updating it, compared to just making a new song completely altogether with their own new style. So it's a little bit more complex to do that, but I think subtly I can definitely tell that there's more changes. If I was more of a technical, on the more technical side of music, and smarter when it came to music, and more attuned with that, I could definitely would be able to describe more about how better the technique is. But even without that, even without the expertise, and be more of a novice, I can still tell that the skill level has drastically changed and gotten better, and you can definitely appreciate that. So yeah, let's get back into it. So that was Black Veil Bride's song called Children Surrender. Like I said, I like the original. It was really great. A newer version that they did felt the same as the original, but just more updated and polished techniques that they have. I like that. Like, I would prefer to them to make it stylistically different, but I enjoyed the original so much that I feel like if they did do that, it would have kind of took away from the original. But they did really great way where they made it better and stuff, and I think it could just be through people's preferences, because this album, it really depends of, do you want to listen to the original or the newer version? You get to basically pick and choose. Whereas some other songs, or no, not other songs, but some other bands, when they do a newer version of an original song, they change it so much it goes to like, do I like this more than the old one, or do I like the old one more? But this one is more like they're both basically the same song, but would I enjoy the more polished version, or would I just enjoy the more older version? Which you can choose whichever one you would possibly listen to. I do like the older one a little bit more due to the fact that I can it's the nostalgic feeling that I'm more attached to the early 2000s, but it still kept that feeling very well in this one, and it's definitely far more polished, but it doesn't always need to be better done to make a song good. So people can still enjoy it without being so higher technical level. But yeah, I can't wait to listen to more of their songs that are just like original, not like a newer, more modern songs, but not ones that are covers of their original songs that they did. But yeah, this is pretty cool. This is interesting. I think right now this is my favorite song from both of the albums. I think they did a really good job. But I would say out of both of them, this one had the least changes from the other ones. And even if it doesn't change, I'm not gonna hate on it, because like I said, it's kind of hard to do it the way they're going with it, because some artists, when they do it completely different. When Breaking Benjamin did with their Aurora album, they had a completely different style that they want to go through. They were doing all of the other Breaking Benjamin classic hit songs through acoustic guitars and other guest singers, and he changed the style completely. And some songs on that album I enjoyed, some songs I didn't. Even though all the songs on that album, the original songs I really liked, some of the newer ones that they did of it I really loved, and possibly even loved more than the original. And then some of the other ones that they did I just didn't really like, or somewhat appreciate it. But this one, basically they're kind of similar, but just with some subtle changes to it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.